Today we are going to talk about solving multi-step equations. So let's look at our notes for today. It says our goal is to isolate, which means get it by itself, isolate the variable on one side of the equal sign. The way we do that is by following this steps. Step 1, simplify both sides of the equation by combining like terms. So go ahead and underline what I'm underlining. And using the distributive property. So first thing you have to do is simplify both sides. Step 2, do inverse operations to get all the variables on one side and constants on the other. So an inverse operation is something that undoes the other. So like with add, to undo addition, you would do subtraction. So add, subtract are inverses. Multiply and divide are inverses. The last step, after you get x all by itself, you're going to check your answer by substituting the solution into your original equation. You do have to show this on your paper to get credit. So you can use the calculator. But it is part of your assignment, so you do have to show what you put in the calculator. Write on paper. And so whenever I say write on paper, just write down what you're putting in the calculator that shows that you're checking your work. So here is an example. So we're going to go step by step. It has the answer already on there, but I just want you to see how it works. So we have 2x plus 4 equals 10. So get the variable alone. So what's keeping the 2x from being by itself? It's the plus 4. So we do the opposite of plus 4, which is minus 4. Then you carry down the 2x, and you have a 10 minus 4 is 6. Then 2 is being multiplied by x, so the opposite of multiply would be divide, and so we show it by writing it as a fraction. Divide by 2 on both sides, and you get your solution, x equals 3. I want y'all to box that, circle it, highlight it, something to make it where I can see it whenever I'm grading your work. It's kind of hard to see on this blue turquoise paper. Then to check your answer, 2 times 3 plus 4 equals 10. So I subbed in the 3 for x. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 6 plus 4 is 10. So I finished and I showed that it is true. So that is one way of checking your work. So that will be how we can show it. I'll show you all another way in the calculator today too. So let's look in our journal. So get your journal out. We have page 7 right here. Page 8 is going to be where you glue in this page. Let's not worry about gluing in right now. Let's go ahead and write our notes on page 9. So this is going to go on page 8. Don't worry about gluing just yet. Wait till we're done. Go to page 9, and we are going to write examples here. We're going to follow the steps. Okay, our first example is 2 parentheses 4c plus 8 equals 32. And we have lines on here. And so we are going to write on each one of these lines. And what I want you to do is try to write clearly, try to keep it real organized. Let me adjust that real quick, maybe. There we go. Maybe. Okay, draw your line down your equal sign first. Let's look at our instructions. It says simplify both sides of the equation using combining like terms or the distributive property. So if we look at the left-hand side, in order to simplify this, we need to distribute. So show distributing by doing your arrows. And let's go ahead and do it. 2 times 4c, 8c. 2 times 8, so plus 16 equals 32. Okay, so we simplified both sides. Okay, number 2, do inverse operations to get all the variables on one side, constants on the other. So we want to move this 16. So the opposite of plus 16 is minus 16. So if I have 16 and I take 16 away, I get 0. So that is the way we can cross it out on the left side. 16 minus 16 is 0. So all we're left with is 8c equals 32 minus 16 is 16. Then our last step, 8 times c equals 16, divide by 8, divide by 8. C equals 16 divided by 8 is 2. Put a box around it, highlight it, whatever you need to do. Okay, so that one wasn't terrible, right? I hope you feel that way anyway. Okay, but we do need to show checking our work. So we're going to show checking our work. So I'm going to do it out to the right side. And I'm going to write the word check. And all I'm going to do is plug in the number. So 2 parentheses 4. And then anytime you sub in a number, you want to put it in parentheses 2. Times 2. So instead of writing C, I wrote times 2 because that was my C. Plus 8, close the parentheses, equals 32. So with my calculator, I can put that in. So I'm going to put in 2 parentheses 4 parentheses 2 plus 8, close parentheses. It equals 32. So then I'll just write 32 equals 32. Check. Done. That is all I need you to do. But the important thing is truly putting that in the calculator. If you just bring it down, just say 32 equals 32, you're not checking it and you could make a mistake. So the whole point of this is to help you make sure you do get the right answer. All right, let's look at number 2. So don't skip much. So see how I have that as my answer? I just went to the next line. And if you want to write your notes in different colors, you're welcome to do that too. -4 parentheses r plus 6 close parentheses equals -63. So our first step is to simplify. So the left-hand side, we need to distribute. We distribute this whole -4. This last one, we just did 2. I didn't circle it because it's positive. Anytime there's a sign in front of here, you need to take the sign with it. So we're going to do -4 times r, which would just be -4r. And then -4 times 6. Yep, -24. So I would write negative 24. Don't put minus a negative. You're adding an extra sign in there. You could put plus a negative if you want, but still, you're adding an extra sign. Don't do it. You don't have to. Okay, equals negative 63. Oh, need to draw my line down. Okay, so I have combined like distributed. I don't need to combine like terms. So now I need to get x all by itself, or in this case, r. What's keeping r from being by itself? Yep. So I do the opposite. So this is where I'm just going to use the calculator. And that is negative 39. The negative 24 and positive 24, they cancel each other out. Then we have negative 4r is what you bring down. And what is our last step to get r all by itself? Divide by negative 4. Oh, I forgot to show canceling that too. So make sure if you do 8 over 8, it becomes 1. So we mark it out. Negative 4 over negative 4, mark it out. And we just have r equals, ooh, that's ugly, right? Negative 39 divided by negative 4. Do you remember a negative divided by a negative? What do we get? A positive. So it's a 9.75. You can use the decimal as long as it doesn't go on and on forever. This is called a terminating decimal. We can use that. You can leave it as 39 over 4 or as 9.75. Either one is fine with me. Do what? That's what r gives us when we solve it. So then that is our solution. So now we do need to check. This is when it's super helpful for the calculator to use the calculator. So we're going to substitute it in. So write down what you're going to put in the calculator. Negative 4 parentheses. Would y'all rather use 39 over 4 or 9.75? Okay, so 9.75 plus 6 equals negative 63. We're going to see if that is true. Negative 4 parentheses 9.75 plus 6 close parentheses. Glare equals negative 63. So negative 63 equals negative 63. Check. We're done. Okay, let's go to example number 3. X over 2 plus 4 equals 6. Draw your line down your equal sign. We need to get x by itself. Right now, x is being divided by 2 and the positive 4. Before we deal with fractions or the coefficient, which is the number in front of the variable, we need to get rid of the plus or minus the number. So we need to get rid of this plus 4. What's the opposite of plus 4? Negative 4. So we do it on both sides. So we still have an x over 2 equals 6 minus 4. What's that? 2. And now it goes back to a problem we've seen on a bell ringer. X divided by 2 equals 2. How do we get rid of the divide by 2? Multiply both sides by 2. Mark it out, and we get x equals 4. Okay, so we need to check it. So sub it in. I want you to write down what you're subbing in. We're subbing in the 4 for the x. So this means we'll have 4 over 2 plus 4 equals 6. Whenever you get your calculator that's been updated, this is really neat. I don't know if y'all had this last year or not, but if you do alpha y equals, there's a hidden menu. And see how that says n/d? So the way that I get to the hidden menu is I do alpha y equals. Alpha is the green button. And so it comes up with a box for our numerator and a box for our denominator. So 4 over 2. And you have to use your arrow. So whenever I put in the 4, I arrow down to get 2, arrow over to get out of that fraction, and I do plus 4. And it gives us 6. So it's checked out. We did it correctly. Okay, let's go to example 4. 0.25 parentheses d minus 12 equals 4. This is our last example for today. Okay, step 1, what are we going to do? Yep. So we're going to take this 0.25 times d and then times the negative 12. A lot of people get confused with minus and negative. They're like, no, that says minus 12. Well, if I were to cover up the d, what does it look like now? A negative 12. Whenever I take it off, it's minus 12. So it's interchangeable whether you say minus 12 or that number is a negative 12. Okay, so 0.25 times d is 0.25 d. And then 0.25 times a negative 12, which is a negative 3, which I write just minus 3 equals 4. Okay, now how do I get the x by itself? Add 3 to both sides. These cancel and I get 0.25d equals 4 plus 3, 7. And then what do I do? Divide by 0.25. And you can leave that 0 off if you want. So that means I need to do 7 divided by 0.25. So that's to be 28. So D equals 28. Now we'll check. Oh, I forgot to put a box around my answer. So to check, I'm going to put 0.25 parentheses 28 minus 12 parentheses equals 4. So 0.25 parentheses 28 minus 12. And it does equal 4. So 4 does equal 4. So check. Now I want you to glue in this page on page 8. Remember, dot, dot, not a lot. And I'm going to pass out your assignment. You're going to make sure you do at least 8 problems on one side.